Okay, so today we are diving into a really powerful and surprisingly common feeling. It's that nagging sense that you're a total fraud, and at any minute now, everyone's going to find you out. It can feel incredibly isolating, but as we're about to see, you are definitely not alone in this.
Seriously, have you ever been in a meeting or at school or maybe starting a new job and you just get this thought that completely takes over? I don't belong here. They made a huge mistake. If that sounds familiar, well, you're in very, very good company. This feeling is way more common than you might think.
So what is this feeling, really? At its heart, it's this deep-seated sense of being a phony. It's that constant, nagging fear that no matter what you've actually accomplished, you're just one question, one mistake away from being exposed as a total fake. And this feeling shows up in some really specific ways. You might get a promotion and immediately think it was just pure luck, not because you earned it. Or maybe you doubt your skills, even when everyone around you is telling you how great your work is. It's this constant feeling that you're somehow pulling the wool over everyone's eyes, and you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
All right, so what do we actually call this feeling? It's not just self-doubt. For decades, researchers have been studying this exact thing, and they came up with a name for it that honestly just hits the nail on the head.
It's officially known as impostor syndrome, or sometimes you'll hear it called the imposter phenomenon, but here's the most important part of the whole definition. It happens despite evidence to the contrary. That's the key. You could have a list of achievements a mile long and still feel like you're completely unqualified.
And listen, this is a really, really important distinction to make. Imposter syndrome is not a mental disorder listed in the big diagnostic manuals like the DSM-5. You don't get diagnosed with it. It's considered a psychological experience, a reaction to certain situations. And that's so helpful because it reduces the stigma and frames it as something a lot of us go through.
The history of this term is actually pretty fascinating. When psychologists first came up with it back in 1978, they were mostly studying high-achieving women. So for a while, people thought it was mainly a woman's issue. But as more research was done, it became super clear that nope, this isn't a gendered thing at all. It affects men and women pretty much equally, though some studies suggest men might be a little less likely to talk about it.
So, just how common is this? Well, this is where it gets wild. Depending on the study and how they measure it, estimates range from 9% all the way up to a staggering 82% of people saying they felt this way. Now, that's a huge range, I know, but the big takeaway is pretty clear. A lot of people are dealing with this.
And to put an even finer point on it, let's just zoom in on one specific high-pressure field, medicine. Studies show that up to 60% of physicians suffer from imposter phenomenon. Just think about that for a second. The very people we trust with our health and our lives are often, in private, battling these intense feelings of fraudulence.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, so it's a little self-doubt, what's the big deal? But this isn't just some harmless inner voice. These feelings can have very real and very negative consequences on pretty much every part of a person's life.
I mean, look at this. Imposter syndrome is strongly linked to a higher risk of depression and anxiety. It can crush your self-esteem, which can lead to lower job satisfaction and even lower job performance. It's a recipe for burnout, and it can even put a real strain on your personal relationships. This stuff is serious.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, yep, that's me, what can you actually do about it? The good news is, the same researchers who first identified the phenomenon also developed a way to manage it. So there is a path forward.
Okay, so Clans and OMS basically laid out a 3-step process. First, and this is a big one, talk about it. Just hearing that other people feel the exact same way can be incredibly powerful. Step 2, become a detective for your own success. Literally, write down positive feedback you get. Keep a running list of your accomplishments. This creates a file of cold, hard facts you can use to fight back against the feeling. And third, you have to actively reframe your thoughts. Catch that "I'm gonna fail" thought and consciously change it to something like, okay, I'm prepared, I can do this. And here's another really cool tip. Try helping someone else. Seriously, when you help another person see their own value and talk them out of their own imposter feelings, it acts like this powerful mirror. It reminds you of your own abilities and reinforces your own sense of worth. It's a win-win.
But hold on. Up to this point, we've basically treated this as an individual problem, something that's happening inside your head that you need to fix. But what if that's only half the story? The whole conversation around this is starting to shift in a really interesting way. This is such a critical question. Is the problem really just inside your own head, or could the environment you're in be the thing that's actually triggering these feelings?
So let's talk about this idea of imposterization. It completely reframes the issue. It suggests that sometimes the problem isn't you, it's the institution, it's the workplace culture or the policies or the unwritten rules that are, intentionally or not, making people question whether they're smart enough or competent enough or if they even belong there at all.
And just think about it for a second. Walking into a brand new school or a new job, being a woman in an industry that's still overwhelmingly male, being an ethnic minority student and wondering, did I only get in because of affirmative action? These are all environments that can actively breed self-doubt and make you feel like you're an imposter.
And that really leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to chew on. What if managing imposter syndrome isn't just about us learning individual coping strategies? Maybe the bigger, more important goal is to create environments, schools, workplaces, entire industries that are more inclusive, more supportive, and more validating, so that fewer people feel like frauds in the first place. What would that even look like?